I'm Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Forsyth County Connections, coming to you from the studios of the Government Center in downtown Winston-Salem. I'm so glad you can join us. We have a lot in store for you today, a lot of great topics and important information coming your way. Where we want to start is talking about the very serious problem of property fraud. And we do it with a friend of ours, Lynn Johnson. She's Register of Deeds in Forsyth County. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Help me understand, just in quick, basic terms, what is property fraud?
Property fraud is when someone decides they want to record a fictitious or fraudulent deed, land record, in your name without your knowledge.
In my name, and I don't know anything about it.
You don't know anything about it until you're notified by way of visiting the property or some other way.
That's scary.
It's very scary.
Is that happening? I mean, I'll put you on the spot. We didn't rehearse this or anything. Is that happening? Does that seem to be happening a lot more these days than when you and I were younger?
Yes, with technology. You know, nowadays with public records being accessed at any time, land records particularly, to anyone, you can go research a record. That's basically how you get those notifications through your mail. Do you want to sell your house? Someone has gone and done their research.
Someone can sell your house, and you don't know it.
And you won't know it until
that
deed is recorded.
Okay. Now, you sent me an email one day about, I want to make sure I get this right, and it said something about property fraud alert notification. What is that and how does that work?
That is something we have here in Forsyth County, whereby if a deed or any land record is recorded in a property owner's name, you can sign up through the Forsyth County Register of Deeds office and you by email. And when that deed is actually recorded, you will get notification that this deed has been recorded in this book and page at this time. And at that time, you can go to our website and see the actual image of it.
So then if I sign up for this service, we'll talk about that in a second, but if I sign up for this service, at least I'm going to know when it happens.
Yes, in real time.
All right. What kind of properties are usually targeted? Is it just a single house, a family house, a commercial building, or?
It's inherited properties, unkept properties, rental properties, abandoned properties, where there's been no type of activity around the property. That's generally who these people target.
Well, once it happens, and even though let's say I'm signed up, I know it's happened, I call you up, is there anything, can the Register of Deeds office actually remove a fraudulent filing?
We cannot.
You cannot?
As we're a recording office only, we cannot. In the cases, you would have to, if you do receive that alert, you would need to contact the mortgage company, the lending institution, the names on the document, and then, if necessary, contact law enforcement.
Any
File
kind
a
of
complaint or
so
report.
I mean, who would put a freeze on this if I think I've got a problem?
There's no way to do it.
Ah.
You cannot put a freeze on it. You cannot pre-freeze or say, watch out, please put notice on this property to see. You can't do that.
So the help you're giving me is, at least you're saying, Jim, if you're signed up, I'm going to let you know that somebody's doing something.
Yes.
But then once I find out that there's some fraud there, I've been a victim of fraud, you're telling me I need to go to whoever loans me money on things or on that property or what?
You need to contact the lending institution named on the deed or deed of trust.
Okay.
Because to see if they've done their due diligence in making sure that this document, that whoever came before them buying or selling this property was truly the landowner.
Is this property fraud alert notification, which is a neat service that you're offering? Now, is that available statewide in all the Register of Deeds office, or is this kind of special what we're doing?
It's not available in all registers of deeds offices. Ours is through our operation vendor, the product that they offered. So I signed an office up for it in 2020. So it's been available since then, but other smaller counties, it becomes a budgetary issue.
Right.
And then on a statewide level, it becomes a legislative issue.
I got you. So then, as we wrap up here, is there a particular website or phone number that people need to at least get as a starting point to find out all about what you and I are talking about?
Yes. In Forsyth County, you go to www.forsyth.cc/ROD, and on our website is an app where you can sign up. It says property fraud alert notification.
Okay.
The person can sign up at that time. It's in real time. There's no fee.
Well, Lynn, the things you've been telling me are frightening, and yet at least we know that through your office, if we sign up, we got a way of knowing when the fraud happens, then we can deal with it on our own. But I appreciate all the work you're doing to protect us.
Thank you, thank you. Here to provide service.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
This is Forsyth. Property fraud is real. Protect your property today. Sign up for the Forsyth County Register of Deeds Property Fraud Alert. Be notified by email if someone tries to use your name or address on documents filed with the Register of Deeds. Following an alert, you can contact your lending institution and police to file a report. No Register of Deeds office has the authority to remove any document. Use our free property fraud alert at forsyth.cc/ROD.
Back now on Forsyth County Connection. So glad you stayed with us. We have a very special guest with us right now, a lovely lady. She's Shannon Page, Forsyth County Public Library Outreach, Diversity, and Inclusion Senior Manager. That's a mouthful. That's a lot of responsibility.
It is.
How long have you been at the library?
So I'm coming up on 4 years with the county.
4 years.
Yes.
Now, were you born around here?
I am from Savannah, but I was born in New Orleans.
Savannah. That's a pretty area.
Yes.
But I'm so glad. Now, what brought you up here? Did you hear about this job or what?
I was, I guess, job hunted.
Yeah.
I was with another library system before this one.
But we're glad you came up here.
I'm glad to be here.
Now,
It's a
you
pleasure to
sent me
serve.
an email. I think you sent me an email, and it said something on there. It says Streamlab.
Yes.
What is that?
So the Streamlab is the library's newest bookmobile. It is a Streamlab mobile makerspace bookmobile. So it is a traditional bookmobile and a makerspace. So we do have books on board.
What do you mean a makerspace?
So a makerspace is a place where people can go and create things using their mind. They can use prompts and just anything you can think of. And they generally are placed in like standalone buildings or they're a part of libraries. But we decided to make one mobile because we already have 3 in our 10 libraries, but there are obviously a couple of our branches that don't have them. So
Right,
we thought
right.
that this would be a good spin on how to take mobile making to those branches as well as the community.
Well, that's cool. And people can, as it pulls up, you can check out books just like you could at any branch, right?
Yes, so when we go to a branch, they check out the books from the branch, but when we go in the community, they check out the books from the Streamlab.
Okay. Now, how did the county acquire this? Because I understand, I have not been in it personally, but I hear it's really fantastic, and it's also pretty expensive. It's a
Yes.
big item. How did you come about getting that?
So we received ARPA funds to be able to fund this venture. And we did receive quite a lot to be able to do it. I think it was roughly about close to $500,000. The truck didn't cost that much, but we
Right.
definitely, it was a hefty sum.
Right, but worth it, and I think it's important because look, it's going to do so much good for so many folks of all ages, and especially for the young people, but also older people as
Yes.
well. To say, hey, I'm glad the library came to me instead of me trying to get transportation and go to a
Absolutely.
place that maybe isn't quite as close to me. Is there a particular kind of technology or equipment inside the Streamlab that people might want to know about?
Yes, so it is, Streamlab is an acronym for science, technology, reading, engineering, art, math, and the L is for language. We actually have our world language collection on board this bookmobile.
Okay.
But as far as the technologies go, it's extensive. So we have 2 3D printers. We have a Glowforge. These are all additive print machines for 3D rendering. We also have gaming technology, so a lot of consoles, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Nintendo Switch.
What if I don't know how to use this stuff, though? I mean,
So-
Shannon, what if I come on there and say, hey, this is my first time seeing it? Is there somebody in the van that can say, okay, this is how you use a printer or whatever?
Yes. So the good thing about coming up with this idea is I came up with it with my team, who are all dabbling in hobbies of their own as well as technology. So I have a technology background, and so do several members of the team. So we actually do teach people how to utilize the machinery before we actually allow them to explore them.
Right. Do you see that mainly younger people or any age people, what do you think is going to, what demographic is going to use it more, do you think?
So right now, it's getting more utilization from youth groups and ages. So I'd say roughly we're we gave a median range. It was maybe from 6 to 18.
All right, and I guess the last question is, how am I going to know where you're going on that particular day, or is it near me or near my neighborhood or what? How can I find out?
Okay, so you can thank Map Forsyth. We had them map our routes out. So we actually are throughout the county, and we have a schedule. It's a calendar on the library's website that lets you know where we are going to be, what day, time will be in your community or at the branch nearest to you.
Yeah, I just think this is great. And like I said, if you're used to going to a branch, that's great. But if you're not, at least this is something that you can get to and enjoy and a little bit more accessible. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing all this.
Thanks for having me.
All
And we
right.
hope you get to see it soon.
All right. And I like history books, so there'll probably be, it's not just science and technology books. I can get other kind of books in
So
there,
we
right?
have all genres on board, and we have all age group collection. So we have collection for juvenile,
Okay.
from infancy up to 12th grade. So we have a teen area specifically and a juvenile area specifically. And we also have adult books that are a little higher up on some
Must be
closed shelves.
careful how you say that. They're not adult books, they're books for adults.
Books for adults.
be careful about that.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back after this.
Medications taken as prescribed for you are safe. They should only come from a pharmacy or healthcare provider. Counterfeit prescription pills can kill. 7 out of 10 counterfeit pills tested by the Drug Enforcement Administration contain an amount of fentanyl that can be deadly. It only takes one pill, one time, to kill. One pill can kill. A message from the Forsyth County Behavioral Health Services.
Back now in this edition of Forsyth County Connections. Thanks for sticking with us. We have a special guest now to talk about something that's going to help folks and is helping folks already. Susan Pomp is Eligibility Supervisor for Forsyth County Department of Social Services. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
You sent me an email that was pretty detailed about something that I think is very important, and that's something called the Low Income Energy Assistance Program. What is that all about?
That is a federally funded program that assists eligible households with a one-time payment to their energy provider to help with those rising costs during the winter months to heat their home.
So if I'm having trouble meeting the payments to try to pay for energy, for heating, let's say during the winter, you're not just going to write me a check and mail it to my house. You say you're going to pay the energy provider, is that right?
Yes.
Like a Duke Energy or
Duke
Piedmont?
Energy,
Okay.
Piedmont Natural Gas, some folks heat with oil or fuel or kerosene, so Bain, Quality Oil,
Right.
Suburban Propane.
Why, Susan, why was this program so needed at this time, do you think?
With the rising cost to heat your home during the winter months, it's cold outside like it is today.
Yeah.
So, it costs more to heat your home than it does really to cool your home.
All right, so I'm having trouble making ends meet. And I want to take advantage of what you're offering here with this assistance, energy assistance. What kind of eligibility requirements do you have, would you have that I have to meet?
So you'd have to meet the income guidelines. Currently, we have 2 income guidelines. First one is 150% of the federal poverty level. So if you have anyone in your household that is over 60, that would be the income guideline we would look at.
Okay.
Okay, so for a household of 1, the income limit is $1,883.
So if it could be an elderly person or anybody that with
Yes.
an income level. Okay. All right.
You also have to be vulnerable, which means that you have to pay for your heating source. So it has to be separate from your rent.
Okay. Yeah, because there's some apartments and places, people around where everything's sort of included in one thing,
Yes.
right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Now, what's the time frame and deadlines for somebody to apply for assistance?
So we started accepting applications December 1st for our priority group 1, which are those that have household members over 60. January 1st, we'll accept anybody, all other household members.
Gotcha.
And so we accept applications until March 31st.
Right.
Or unless we run out of funds.
Does this take out? Let's hope that the funds don't run out. But given that, is it a long process from the time that I say, okay, I'm going to apply for this? How soon can I get some relief? How soon can I make sure they don't turn the heat off on me?
So applications we have to process within 10 business days.
Okay.
So shortly after the 10 business days, we will approve or deny the application.
Right.
Once we do that, then payments are sent out. Now, it may take the energy provider a little time to get it applied to your bill.
Right.
But you'll have a letter that says you were approved and for how much.
Yeah, and look, cold weather, as we know in this area, can go all the way through March and the start of April, so we don't want to fool around with this thing if somebody needs help. Are there different ways that I can apply for this assistant, or is it, I mean, is it telephone, website, what?
So we have a variety of ways. We have online through epass.nc.gov. You can call us, 336-703-3800.
I'm going to write this down so I don't forget. I know I've got a pen in here somewhere. All right, give me the number again.
336-703-3800.
Okay, all right.
You can also stop by our office, which is at 741 North Highland Avenue.
Okay.
We have applications available inside our building between 8 and 5, and then we also have an application bin outside for after hours, and there's a drop box outside.
Trying to make it a little easier for folks who need the help. I guess we have a few seconds left. As time gets ready to run out, I want to ask you something. Why is this so important for the people that are giving the assistance, for the community? Why is this an important program?
It helps us keep the folks in their homes and their utility bills on so that they can provide the heating and cooling that they'll need for the time throughout the year.
Right. It means a lot to some folks, and I just appreciate what you're doing with this. I really do.
Thank you.
It is important. All right, Susan. All right, we'll be right back after this. Back now on Forsyth County Connections, and we have a special guest with us who's been on the program before. He does great work. He's a great community service. Joseph Hundley, we call him Joey, with Emergency Services. And I will say to the folks at home that although this is airing in December, looking back, you've been very busy, you and your team, getting folks up to the western parts of North Carolina to help with flood relief. And I want to commend you and all your folks for helping with that. I know it made a big difference to the folks up there, so thanks for doing that.
Appreciate that, Jim.
All right, you sent me an email one day about something called Pulse Point. What is that?
So Pulse Point is an application that you download on your phone. It's a free application. And what it does is it alerts the bystander of a cardiac arrest event if they are within a quarter mile of the event. And so that's important because what we're trying to do is increase cardiac arrest survival rate in the county. The cardiac arrest survival rate nationally has been around 10% for decades. And the Damar Hamlin incident that occurred, last year,
Right.
shed some light on cardiac arrests and getting community involved and bystander CPR and learning CPR. And so Pulse Point is an app that helps notify them when an event happens and they are near it. And so specifically for this application, the way with what we're putting in place is a public notification. So if you're in a public facility, and there's an event that happens, you've got it on your phone.
So I'm in a park playing softball. I see somebody have what I think is a cardiac arrest. Then I've got the app on the phone. I can then alert you guys.
You call 911.
Okay.
And so that scenario, you're in the park, you're playing, you see, and you call 911. And I'm in the same park, and I'm not a paramedic, but I know CPR. You call 911, the 911 center processes that call and dispatches it. And as soon as it gets dispatched, I'm going to get a notification on my phone.
Oh, okay, I got you, because you've got a smartphone and you know CPR, so therefore because you've got the app, you're on that network and you're going to see that alert come in.
Right.
You're going to read it and say, oh my gosh, he's just across the other softball field.
I can go help, right?
That's just amazing.
Right, and what we're trying to do is reduce the amount of time to get hands-on chest for compressions for CPR, right? We know, we talk in the world of averages that it takes a first response, meaning a fire department or a first responder vehicle, 4 to 6 minutes to get on the scene of a cardiac arrest.
Right.
With all the processing time. So we're trying to minimize, 6 minutes into a cardiac arrest if no one has done compressions on you.
So we're talking about a public place. You and I were talking about using it as an example, a softball field or out in a park. This could be a street in front of a neighborhood somewhere, right? Any kind of public place?
It could be, we have some restrictions set up in the application so that, it's not yet it's available for residential neighborhoods for what we call verified responders. And so those folks that are public safety professionals, or volunteers, fire departments, EMS, nurses, doctors.
Right.
We're not ready yet to make it so that anybody's going to pop into your house.
Right, but and that's right. I want to make sure people know that. We're talking mainly about outside public spaces,
Right.
parks, and a shopping center, parking
Right.
lot, or something like that. All right, so obviously, and I'm learning as I go along here, obviously you want as many people as possible to get this app so that you can have sort of your own public army
Right.
of first responders
Yes, sir.
who know CPR.
That's it.
All right, and then we didn't rehearse any of this, but what if somebody wants to learn CPR? Do you guys ever do training on that?
Sure do. So if you want to learn CPR, there are multiple places. You can contact the American Heart Association, the American Red Cross. There's National Safety Council courses. You can call your fire department. You can call us. And if we can't do it, we can line you up with a place. And we're also, specifically in Forsyth County Emergency Services, are stepping up our community outreach programs and doing community CPR.
What website or whatever can people go to say, yeah, I want that app?
You just you go to your app store on whatever phone you have, and you download Pulse Point.
Pulse Point. Joey, thanks for all you do, man.
Appreciate you, Jim.
We'll be right back after this.
Join us for the 2024 Kwanzaa celebration at the Forsyth County Central Library in downtown Winston-Salem, Tuesday, December 31st from 2 to 5 p.m. In recognition of the principle Kumbah, which means creativity, we honor Rachel Jackson and Carl Miller. Enjoy performances from the North Carolina Black Repertory Company's Youth Ensemble and hear from Dr. Felicia Piggott Long. The celebration is presented by the Friends of the Malloy Jordan East Winston Heritage Center, the Forsyth County Public Library, and the North Carolina Black Repertory Company. It's a celebration of history, values, family, community, and culture.
Back now on this edition of Forsyth County Connections, and this is the final segment of this particular program. Thank you for sticking with us. This is an important segment because we want to talk about, among other things, food safety with a good friend of ours, Virginia Lopez, is Family and Consumer Sciences Agent with the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Forsyth County Office, and it's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Why is food safety especially important during the holidays?
Oh, yes. During the holidays, we have so much food on the table, people bringing foods. So you have all these gatherings going on and a lot of hands in the kitchen.
Right.
Touching food. So the risk of foodborne illness just rises during the holidays.
I'm guessing both in preparation, because I know you and I were talking off
Yes.
camera about how we made things for Thanksgiving dinner for a lot of people, but in preparation and also in handling and other
Yes.
things. Now, you sent me an email. Let me make sure I get this right. You said there are 4 core food safety practices
Yes.
that you would recommend to viewers. Now, what are you talking about?
So the core practices to keep in mind is clean. So having that word clean, and we can always go into detail on that.
Right.
But clean, separate, cook, and chill.
Okay. Now, I'm curious. We don't have to go into all of them, but you said separate. What do you mean?
Well, separate when you are preparing foods or when you've cooked your foods. Keeping those raw foods separate from cooked foods. Again, when you're preparing your foods, like if you're preparing something, raw meats, you want to keep those separate, like in a different cutting board when you're cutting them up, separate from a cutting board that you'll be using for vegetables, fruits, ready-to-eat foods. So that's what I mean by keeping them separate.
All right, so let's back up to the point before we start. We're getting ready to make some things for our holiday. What's things we ought to keep in mind as far as washing hands, keeping kitchen surfaces clean? Why are those things important, and what's the best way to do them?
The reason it's important is because we want to reduce cross-contamination. And that meaning, you know, if something raw comes in contact with something that's already to eat.
Like chicken,
eat
typically.
Chicken, yes, chicken, let's say coming in contact with maybe your fruits and vegetables, right?
Okay.
So we were talking about cleaning. You want to definitely be cleaning your hands. I mean, 65%, there was a study that 65% of people that are come into the kitchen to prepare something do not wash their hands.
Oh,
Okay, so keeping in mind that you could be that culprit that's bringing in this pathogen
Wow.
bacteria. So washing your hands with soap and water, washing surfaces where you're going to be preparing your foods, washing your plates, your utensils, anything that you are preparing, especially if you're working with raw meats,
Right,
poultry, so forth, before you move on to another type of food.
I've heard people talking about, hey, I'm going to wash this turkey before we start cooking. Is that a good idea?
It is not.
It's not.
It is not a good idea. And again, there has been some research done where when people are washing a turkey or any type of meat, that the splatter of those juices, the water as it's being cleaned, can actually
Go out into the,
go
on
out
the
into
surfaces.
into
Oh,
surface
man.
from 3 to 6 feet
All right.
away.
Well, I'm getting information. I want the information, but then I don't want the
Yes,
information.
right,
All right.
right.
Now, pop-up timers on things. Hey, I'm just going to use a pop-up timer, and it'll be done. The meat will be done. But is that the only way we should do it? Or?
Well, it's not recommended to rely on those. They're not accurate. They're not reliable. So the best thing to do is for people to just purchase a small digital thermometer that they can self put in their turkey or whatever they're cooking
Right.
to the right temperature.
And one of my favorite things after any holiday or family gatherings, I love leftovers. Some people don't. I love leftovers.
Yes.
So before time runs out on this segment, you got a little tip to give us on storing and using leftovers?
Yes, definitely within that 2-hour mark, you want to get everything put away, stored, in small
Don't leave it
container.
setting out all
Don't
night.
leave it sitting out for hours and hours. So as soon as it's possible, go ahead and package it in small, containers.
Right.
Whether you're going to use it in a few days in the refrigerator, or if you have so much left over, freeze some
Freeze
of
it.
And that you can have indefinitely.
All right, that's good. That's good information. Is there a website or something people should go to just for general information of things you're doing?
Yes, for general information, they're always welcome to call, contact NC Cooperative Extension here in Forsyth County, but they're also welcome to reach out to the USDA website, CDC website. A lot of our government agencies have information on that.
All right, well, that's good to know. You gave us a lot of good information, and will you come back sometime?
Hope so, yes.
And happy Christmas and festive holidays.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you to you too.
And as we wrap up here, I want to thank some important folks that are behind the cameras. Of course, Ed McNeil is executive producer of the program. Jeff Fabrizio behind the camera and putting the shows together and does yeoman's work on that. And Chantel Robinson, of course, our county manager. To all of them, we thank them, and we thank you for watching this edition of Forsyth County Connections. We'll see you next time.